The services sector remained the largest contributor to GDP, expanding by 4.33% and accounting for 57.50% of the real GDP. Telecommunications and information services grew by 7.40% and contributed 10.59% to total output, up from 10.17% in Q1 2024. Financial and insurance activities posted strong growth of 15.3%, driven by increased digital adoption and improved performance in the banking and fintech sectors. The figures were released following a GDP rebasing exercise that updated the base year from 2010 to 2019. The new base year is intended to align Nigeria's economic data with international standards and more accurately reflect changes in the economic structure. While the growth was welcomed by economic experts and private sector stakeholders, they emphasized the need for continued structural reforms to sustain momentum and support small businesses and households. Oando PLC has announced plans to raise up to 500 billion naira in additional capital through a combination of equity and debt instruments, subject to shareholder approval at its upcoming 46th annual general meeting. According to a notice filed with the Nigerian Exchange Limited, the capital raise will strengthen the company's financial position and fund new business initiatives. The raise may involve issuing up to 10 million ordinary shares or 50 kobo each via public offerings, private placement, rights issues, or debt-to-equity conversions, depending on market conditions and regulatory approvals. The company also intends to convert up to $300 million of its existing reserve-based lending debt into equity as part of a broader capital restructuring strategy. In addition, Oando is seeking approval to establish a $1.5 billion multi-instrument issuance program, enabling it to issue a variety of financial instruments, including bonds and certificates. The board has proposed increasing Oando's share capital from 5 billion to 20 billion by creating 30 billion new ordinary shares. Shareholders will also vote on the reappointment of auditors, director remuneration, audit committee elections, and resolutions involving related party transactions. Oando recently reported a 267% increase in profit after tax, rising to 220 billion for the 2024 financial year. Nigeria's public debt to GDP ratio declined to 39.4% in Q1 2025, following the National Bureau of Statistics GDP rebasing exercise. The rebasing expanded GDP measurement to include emerging sectors such as digital technology, fintech, creative industries, and the informal economy, resulting in a significant increase in nominal GDP. As of March 31, 2025, Nigeria's total public debt stood at 149.39 trillion, comprising 78.76 trillion in domestic debts and 70.63 trillion in external debts. The rebased GDP, now valued at 379.17 trillion, places the country's debt to GDP ratio below the 40% self-imposed limit and under the 55% ceiling set by the World Bank and IMF. Domestic debt accounts for 20.77% of GDP, while external debt makes up 18.63%, but is still considered a statistically improvement from pre-rebasing levels. Lafarge African PLC posted a profit after tax of 132.7 billion for the 6 months ended June 30, 2025, up from 29.4 billion in the same period in 2024. Revenue for H1 2025 rose by 75% to 517 billion from 295.6 billion, driven by increased sales volume and robust market demand. Cost of sales rose to 221.2 billion from 147.9 billion, while gross profit more than doubled to 295.8 billion from 147.6 billion. Operating profit increased by 144% to 192.3 billion, reflecting gains in cost efficiency and operational performance. Finance income rose sharply to 10.2 billion from 1 billion, while finance costs declined to 2.8 billion from 33.3 billion. Profit before tax surged to 199.7 billion from 46.6 billion. Income tax expense rose to 67.1 billion, resulting in the final half-year profit after tax of 132.7 billion. In Q2 2025 alone, the company generated 268.6 billion in revenue, up 70% from 157.8 billion in Q2 2024. Quarterly profit after tax reached 84 billion, representing a 248% increase year-on-year. Basic earnings per share rose to 824 kobo compared to 182 kobo in the previous year. Total assets exceeded 1 trillion as of June 30, 2025, and total equity rose to 554 billion from 505 billion at the beginning of the year. Dividends amounting to 83.8 billion were declared during the period. And we have come to the end of the business news segment. I am Sohair Obasemeke reporting for BTV News.